Shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Al-Shai, Ba'ashem, Al-Chak, and the bondage of the apostles, and the elders, great millstone, Shalom to the Akim, teaching his word throughout the four corners in true sincerity. Back on that lesson. To this man, probably Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Al-Shai. It's like, the Lord willing is edifying unto the elect. Okay, the elect consists of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, we are the true people. We are the true chosen, okay, of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Al-Shai. Yahweh is the true name of God, which means he is, and his son's name, who the world calls Jesus, that's not his name, it's Yahweh Shai. All right, which means he saves or he delivers. Okay, but yeah, we are the true chosen people of the Lord. It's not those JJs that are in the land of Israel now. Those are not the true chosen people. Those are imposters. All right. Okay. Because the scriptures, don't match up with them being the true people. All right. But the topic of this lesson, is really going into, how, we're public enemy number one. All right. Because the time that we're coming in, the times that we're coming in, Esau is going to paint a narrative, against the men of Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai. All right. We are living in those times where, brothers we're being watched. Brothers are getting pulled over by FBI for no reason, not giving no explanation. All right. Esau's going to send out different hits on us in the future, and it's only going to increase. Because people are going to hate us, for false accusations. The same thing they did with Yahweh Shai. Or better, undergo the same thing. All right, but it's part, it's part of this, this truth is, this is what we signed up for. All right, when we came to this truth, we understand what we had to get down with. All right, detaching from this world, calling out the bullshit, being painted as such a bad person. All right, but that's okay. All right, is it really bad? Is it really a bad thing for the world to call you a bad person when the world is wicked? It's not. All right, the scripture tells us that the world is wicked. Seriously, wickedness has, polluted the whole earth. So, these niggas calling us off and, they scoffing and saying we're wrong. Okay, they're off because they don't know the scriptures, right? These are the same people that protest for momos. These are the same people that, get abortions. These are the same people that, eat pork and commit adultery. All right? This is Isaiah 5:20 says, "Woe to them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, and that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." So that is basically what, this world is, backwards. Wickedness is praised. Being a hoe is praised. Right? Being a momo is praised. Okay, being a nigga, adulterous, all right, conniving, envying, murderous nigga, that's praised. Wickedness is praised. All right. And then you have us, shedding forth light, which is really from Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai. Okay, they put that for darkness. Right? If you set up for any sort of righteousness, people are going to look at you crazy. Especially us, since we've been called into the marvelous light of this truth. All right, we teaching it on the highways and byways, crying aloud, sparing not, calling out, the wickedness that Jake is doing. Those shrimp by Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai. All right, public enemy number one, and mainly because we're talking about the downfall of this devil's kingdom. Right, but all, really is prophecy. And, everything is going to come to pass as the Lord planned it to be. All right. Okay, because it's been set up that Esau's kingdom was going to fall. All right, but I'm going to get Matthew 5:10. It says, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. It says, blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. It says, rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. So yeah, man, this is, nothing new under the sun, right? Ecclesiastes 1, it's like it. And 9, it says, the thing that had been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun. So the same way, the prophets of old, they were persecuted, they were hated. There were people came up against them. They were thrown into prison. Same thing that we about to go through. All right, and the same way, okay, like like in the book of Acts, how Peter and John was, were thrown into prison, beat. Okay, told them to stop teaching the name. The Lord was still with them to teach the word. All right, so it doesn't matter. That these people hate us. We're not in this, for everybody to love us. All right. So again, same thing in the book of Acts. It's Acts 4:18. It says, and they called them and commanded them not to speak at all, nor teach in the name of Yahushua. But Peter and John answered and said unto them, whether it be right in the sight of the Most High to hearken unto you more than unto the Most High judge ye, for we cannot but speak the things which we have seen and heard. So, they was telling Peter and John to stop speaking in the name of Yahushua. Same thing they will try to do with us. Okay, that they're trying to do with us, try to silence us. Okay, threaten us. Follow us. They're basically telling us not to teach in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Hey, but we're not gonna stop, man. All right, we're not gonna stop. Okay, until the Lord tells us to stop. And when the Lord tells us to stop, that's going to be the famine of the word. All right, and when that time comes, all hell is going to break loose. All right, but to show you that we're living in those times where, it was just like Acts. They're coming against, the men of the Lord. All right. I'm trying to look for the account. I'm going to Blue Letter. It's Acts 4. I'm starting at 1. It says, as they spake unto the people, the priests and the captains, and the captain of the temple and the Sadducees came unto them. It says, being grieved that they taught the people and preached through Yahushua the resurrection from the dead. So let's liken this the scripture to these times now. I'm reading NLT. It says, these leaders were very disturbed that Peter and John were teaching the people that through Yahushua there is a resurrection of the dead. So let's put it into times now. All right, Esau, Edom, wicked ass, the one that's teaching about the truth, the one that's teaching about the name of Yahushua, the one that's teaching about basically the prophecies and what's to come. All right, to talk about Yahushua. All right, to tell our people to stay asleep. Okay. And they seeing that they're disturbed by it again. That's why we're being watched. Okay, why they have folders of our names. The FBI and etc. is watching us. Esau. Okay, the elites. The Rothschilds, and we're not scared. All right. Why? Because we know that the Lord is protecting us. We got the angels and we got Yahweh Shem Yahushua, watching us. They can't make a move unless the Lord allows it. Same thing that Yahushua told, in Matthew. John 19 and I'm going to start at 9. It says, and when again into the judgment hall, and saith unto Yahushua, whence art thou? But Yahushua gave him no answer. Then said Pilate unto him, speakest thou not unto me? Knowest thou not that I have power to crucify thee, and I have power to release thee? Yahushua answered, Thou couldst not have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. Therefore he that delivered me unto thee had the greater sin. So whatever these devils try to do against us, we're not supposed to be fearful. All right, because again, whatever, the power is given from above. So whatever they do unto us is also been sanctioned by the Lord, right? And at the same time, the Lord's gonna, preserve us. All right, so these devils can't put no hands on us unless the Lord allows it. All right. It says, continuing back in Acts 4:3, it says, and they laid hands on them and put them in hold until the next day, for it is now eventide. The NLT, it says, they arrested them since it was already evening, put them in jail until the morning. So yeah, being thrown into jail. All right. Getting thrown in jail for what? The truth's sake. All right, these are the same things that we're going to have to, go through. Okay, brothers getting thrown into prison. All right, being tried. All right. Being brought up to high officials, to be questioned, to be, tortured if that situation presents itself. All right, to basically the foe, but we must hold our integrity. All right. So we're talking about enduring unto the end. Because we have to endure unto the end. Lord, when the Lord is, still with us and He still has His Spirit upon us, we have to endure. All right. This is Matthew 10, and start 16. It says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And that's exactly how we got to move in these times. Wise and harmless. All right, because we can't fight our own battles. All right, we got the wisdom and knowledge. We know how to move, but all right, we can't just be out here, being a macho man and trying to fight everybody, or moving without wisdom, moving like we can't be harmed. All right, it says, but beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in the synagogues, and ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. So we're being brought up to these high officials, our brothers that go through that. Why? For the truth. Like I said, for my sake. All right. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that time, in that same hour, what ye shall speak. So again, we cannot be fearful when we get in that situation. All right. The Lord will put the spread on us to, say or not speak at all. All right. We just read that scripture in John. Okay. Yeah, I wish I speak to, he said that, no power is given unless it's from above. All right. Okay, it says, for it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. All right, so it's going to be ultimately through the power in Yahweh Shai. All right, the only thing that we can do now is just teach the word. All right, and keep the faith. Anything that happens down the road is going to be by, the Lord, divine intervention, and the Lord, being with us. And us just being in a constant state of prayer, and being faithful, right? Because what can we do against this devil? His blessing is the sword. So the only thing we can do is wait on the Lord for our salvation coming from Him, like David said. All right. And we just got to keep, doing these lessons. Getting into the scriptures, studying the scriptures. Keep on sharpening our swords till that time comes, where persecution is going to be, on a mass scale against, the men of Yahweh Shai. And the Lord, and the Esau knows who to get, right? He not coming for no IUIC because they paid. He not coming for no regular Christian pastor because they paid as well. Right? He's going to come against us because we're not doing this for money. And also, not only that, because we have the truth. Okay, we not sugarcoating nothing. We not holding nothing back. We teaching it 100%. And we saying it boldly. All right? That's how you know that the Lord is going to have his true men. And Lord willing, we are those true men. Okay? We are the Lord's prophets. All right? Saying it humbly. But with that long, quick lesson was edifying. I want to give our praises to Yahweh, Bashim, Al-Shah, Bashim, Al-Qadash. The honor to the apostles and others who get millstone. Shalom to the Ayim teaching. The four corners and true sincerity. Shalom.